tissue to send to the lab, which that's such a small piece. I didn't have them analyze that today. I'll work on that over the next few days. And then we took out this whole lump of other stuff that was very solid. Her tumor is very, the borders are irregular and it kind of invades into the healthy tissue, even on the MRI scan. But there was part of it that was very solid appearing. So we just went and took out that whole very solid part, which was right there on the surface. We mapped her speech and language, and she had no change from the mapping, and then had no change while we took out that lump. So we were actually able to do a pretty nice job and get out that whole solid part of the disease. It's not all of the cancer, there's still tumors still there, but it is a large, it's probably all of that solid chunk, which was right there on the surface. And then after we did that, we put her back, let her go back to sleep, and then put her all back together. And so she's already awake. We didn't put the breathing tube back in after we let her go back to sleep, so there's no breathing tube. And then she's already in the recovery room. She's moving everything and speaking.
Now, will she have to do radiation?
So it depends on the diagnosis. I can't answer that yet. It depends what this turns out to be. So we have to wait a few days to find that out. Probably won't. Probably it could be a week before it even comes back.
But it'll be 2 weeks before anything is done.
Correct. Correct.
All right.
So in the worst, what would it come back saying? That would dictate chemo or radiation? What would, if it came back?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I can't answer that. Mostly because, so her original tumor they called a low-grade astrocytoma.
Okay.
There is a question on the slides that the pathologist saw today that it could be oligodendroglioma, and it could have been oligodendroglioma all along. That would be a good thing and not a bad thing. But don't hold out for that yet, because it may change once they look at the permanent slides. So a lot of the answer to that question will depend on whether or not it's astrocytoma or whether or not it's oligodendroglioma, and then what grade it will be.
So it's a type of tumor and a grade?
Sorry?
So you're saying the type, so it depends upon the type of tumor?
Correct.
And the grade of
Correct.
the tumor?
Correct. And the grade indicates how malignant it is.
Do you know why maybe she got another tumor?
She didn't get another tumor. This is the same one.
Oh, it's the same one.
Same one.
Just grew.
No, this contrast showed up, which it showed up in the middle of the tumor that's always been there. So Dr. Azim was only able to take out a very small part. Essentially, it was a biopsy, a little bit more than a biopsy. And she still had this mass which was there.
Oh, so it was always there.
It was always there.
Oh.
Yeah. And these tumors never go away, unfortunately. There are always tumor cells left behind. And but since he wasn't able to take a lot of it out, it was always there. And she never had chemo, she never had radiation. So they've just been watching this. And it didn't grow per se, but what happened was that the characteristics changed that suggested it was potentially changing to more malignant tumor. And it was important to know that. And that's how we ended up here today.
I see.
Good. Recovery?
She's in the recovery room, and hope to get out of here in 2 or 3 days.
And you'll have her up and walking today, probably?
Yeah, or tomorrow.
Yeah, she went last time pretty quick. What'd you think of her head? With all their things.
Yeah, so she didn't. Did she put the purple dots where I asked her to? It looks like she didn't use a marker to. I asked her yesterday to put purple dots where the dots were. Oh, did you?
With a Sharpie.
With a Sharpie?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it. They must have washed off, or the anesthesiologist washed off this one. But we were able to get the information we needed.
Okay.
I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, her eyes were, under her eyes, they were swollen.
Yeah, never seen that before.
All right. Now there are chances of this growing again, back?
Absolutely. Even with the radiation and chemotherapy.
So it just never ends.
We hope it does. We have some people who go, years and years and years without any change after treatment, and then we have other people who don't go that long, and we have no way at this part of the ball game to figure out who that's going to be.
All right.
So would I be correct in understanding you that there's always cells left behind?
Always.
Always. Whoa. Okay, So when you say, when we hear they got it or wherever, you can always
Yeah, so
assume.
did she tell anybody my salt and pepper
Yes,
story?
Mhm.
yes.
She did.
So that's the pepper flakes. Those pepper flakes are always there. Because they're beyond where Dr. Cherry and I made our cuts to, so if we made a cut here, 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 and here, we now have a hole that has walls that are bordered by the brain that's still there. Within that brain, beyond where I made the cut, there are those pepper flakes in the brain. So I can't get out, by definition with these tumors, you cannot remove all of the cancer, period. So when a surgeon, I think if they prep you properly and they say, I got it all out, there is a difference between I got it all out, meaning I got out all of the cancer, and I got out everything that I went after. Okay, so I think we got out 100% of what we went after, but that is by no means the total extent of the cancer, unfortunately.
You get back, she tried to explain those pepper flakes and she wasn't explaining it like you.
So the best way to understand the way these tumors grow is they are infiltrative, meaning that you might have, in some cases, a ball that if you look at it under the microscope is 100% tumor and no healthy brain, okay? More than likely what happens is that the part we took out today is 95% tumor and 5% healthy brain. This is a guess, this is not math or science, this is an interpretation. As you leave that area and you go further outside that area, that relationship and that proportion changes. So rather than having 50% or 95% tumor and 5% brain, you eventually get to an area where you're going to have 95% brain and 5% tumor. And that analogy, the way I describe it, is in that brain surrounding the part that we took out. If I put salt on this couch, and that salt is the normal tissue, the normal cells, and I take pepper and I go like this, right? Those black dots that are randomly scattered, that have no contact to the mass that I took out, are the tumor cells that are in the brain around that mass. So I can't see them. I can't go dig through the healthy brain, because if I do that, I'm going to damage the salt, the normal nerves that are there, and I can't pick out individual pepper flakes because I can't see them. But they're there. And so even if the MRI, and her MRI will not be clean, even if her MRI was clean, there would still be pepper flakes.
Those pepper flakes, do they have the potential to form into a tumor?
Yes.
Even with
I'm understanding more
Yes.
now.
Okay, that's what you already said it.
I get it. Thank you.
And so we're back to where we were previous surgery. It's just monitoring, surgery, monitoring.
No. It depends on the grade and the type of tumor. And I have to imagine that at this point they're going to recommend some type of treatment, whatever it be.
Okay.
So these are not surgery issues. These are not surgeon issues. Surgeons can get out that whole part, solid part, or the part that's safe to remove. But the biology of the disease is beyond the limits of surgeons.
Are you happy with the way it went?
Oh yeah.
Yourself?
Well, especially since the last surgery they found speech and language and they couldn't take out a lot, and we made a big hole because there was solid disease there that we could take out.
Because it grew.
No, it didn't grow. I didn't say it grew.
Okay.
It changed. That contrast changed. That little bit of, I told you, the characteristics changed.
Which really is kind of gray. We don't really understand.
Okay, so stop. Okay, so when we do an MRI scan, we do a series of scans. You know, she's in that machine for an hour, right, or longer, and we configure the machine to give us to make the brain look certain colors. Okay, and then we will give contrast, the injection in the vein, which usually lights up abnormal blood vessels, normal blood vessels and abnormal blood vessels in the tumor itself. When she used to get the contrast, the injection in the vein, there was no contrast in the tumor, which is very consistent with low-grade cancer tumors. Recently, her last two scans, when she got the contrast, there was new evidence of contrast in the tumor that had never been seen before. When that happens, that's usually indicative of a higher grade or more malignant tumor. And so because she had a low-grade tumor before, we had concerns that this was changing from a 2 to a 3 or to a 4 or something else. And so it became very important to figure that out, because if it is a 3 or a 4, we have to treat it as such. And that doesn't include observation. Does that help a little?
Yeah, I just, like you said, when they originally did it, I think we all remember that they could, like you said, they could only take out the safe part or
Right.
do whatever they. Now you're saying you all worked on the same tumor, but now there was more available to you to
Take out.
safely take
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that
Yes.
how it is?
Sure.
Okay. So,
Because the first time, she's stressed. And that's why.
Well, I think she just had some speech or language issues, or if she was stressed, they couldn't get adequate mapping and they felt they couldn't do it.
Okay.
You're happy, we're happy.
Scott, you comfortable with that?
Andrew, Abigail, questions?
I think so.
What I forget?
Just a shame that's gotta come back again,
No, we didn't say it's gonna come back
It
again.
just doesn't move.
but there's a possibility.
There's a possibility. She's a patient forever. Right, that's the way to look at it.
Mhm.
That's what I meant.